How many four-letter words can I use on that?
Trying to switch to a double. Cheddar is driving. Nothing yet. Takedown, Michael Cheddar.
Oh, Nick, I'm a top guy, so I love top wrestling.
Hale trying to stick him. He does. Maximus Hale the fall.
So I think that wrestling is the greatest sport on earth.
What's going on, everybody? On3 Wrestling here. I'm your host, Nick Kosko, and another wild weekend in college wrestling. I think the biggest summary we can judge off the last couple of days and then going into this coming week, which is Penn State-Iowa week, is that Penn State is probably the best team ever assembled. Known to man, history, book it. I don't think we're ever going to see this again, although we might see it next year with the way Penn State just reloads and, of course, what they did last year at the NCAA championships. Got to rep the Eagles today, of course, going back to the Super Bowl. Me being a diehard Eagle fan my entire life, you don't get too many opportunities to go to the Super Bowl, so I won't bore you with football talk at the start of the show here. But Eagles going back to the Super Bowl, so I'm going to wear this for another day, at least over the next 2 weeks until they play the Kansas City Chiefs in a rematch. So wrestling was kind of wild this weekend. Lot of Rutgers for me this weekend as they were home for 2 matches. Penn State on Friday night. Bo Bassett was in the building, so obviously his recruiting is something to watch over the next couple of weeks as he is now done with official visits. And, of course, he'll, I'm sure, start to narrow his list down a little bit further, going from his top 7 down to 6, 5, 4, 3, and, of course, 2 and 1. Rutgers bounced back after a brutal loss to Penn State, is what it seemed like with that scoreboard, with an epic win on Sunday over Illinois. It was a great call. My buddy Vinny Termini joined me on the broadcast this weekend. So great call, great match, one of the best duels I've seen in quite a bit. Obviously very exciting for Rutgers to knock off a top 10 team. But Penn State is the story, of course, coming on in, still undefeated. They have Iowa on Friday, so we'll dive into that in a little bit. I'll start out, they thwarted Rutgers on Friday. Dean Peterson got things started for the Scarlet Knights, beat previously undefeated freshman Luke Lillidahl at 125. Great win for the Scarlet Knights, sold out arena at Jersey Mike's Arena, but then Penn State just took over. Braden Davis, close win over Dylan Shawver. I would love to see them run it back, as I said, after Friday, and then Penn State just pretty much took over from there. You saw what Bo Bartlett did against Joey O. Very tough match there for Joey O, but I thought he wrestled well. But Bartlett, this is why he's an NCAA contender. Shane Van Ness dominated. Tyler Kasak controlled his match against Connor Hare, Mitchell Messenbrink, and then the rest of that second half part of the lineup for Penn State just absolutely blitzed Rutgers. You saw Mitchell Messenbrink dominate at 165. Levi Haynes actually had a tough match with Jackson. I thought Jackson Toy did pretty well against Haynes in a 1 takedown match, but again, Haynes just controlling it. That's why he's a national champion. Then you saw Carter Starachi. He got a tech fall at 184. Josh Barr 0-0 with John Posnanski. Then all of a sudden, he scores 22 points in the third period. I think, and then if that doesn't prove what he did against Posnanski, and then I believe he did it against Michael Beard and as well as McDaniel of Lehigh and Nebraska, respectively, if this doesn't prove that Josh Barr is going to be has the best gas tank, it seems like, out of all these 197-pound contenders, I don't know what does. I think I might change my NCAA title pick from Jacob Cardenas to Josh Barr based on his recent performances. He is absolutely unbelievable. Great Kirkley then edged out Jaroslav Slavicuski 2-0 in that final match of the evening. Not much offense in that one. They had it was a bigger discrepancy the last time they wrestled, a 9-0 win for Kirkvliet. This time only 2-0. Now maybe he was playing more of a defensive, tactically wrestled match on Friday night, but Slavicuski wrestled well, just couldn't get his offense going. And again, that just goes to show you how good Penn State is on top, how good their offense is, how good their defense is. They pretty much showed it all. So they've been doing this all year to teams, and I think they're going to do something maybe similar to Iowa. Again, Iowa's the number 2 team in the country, but all of a sudden you're looking at where does Iowa even win? So we'll dive into that in just a little bit. Of course, Rutgers going back and forth, 5-5 split against Illinois. Great matches all the way through. They win on criteria, get a top 10 win on Sunday. It was great to see for the Scarlet Knights. I won't spend too much time on that other than the fact that they kind of got over that top 10 hump for the first time in 6 years. So good to see. I would imagine they're going to be 11 or number 10 in the coaches poll after that win. They'll have Minnesota this coming weekend on Sunday on the road. Another chance for another top 10 win. That should be a good duel. Very interesting. I'm interested to see how those matchups break down. Speaking of Minnesota, we'll get to them in a second because they also, they keep winning. But you look at elsewhere in the Big Ten, the other big duel on over the weekend was Iowa, Ohio State. I believe this was actually Saturday, if memory serves correct. I mean, all these days are just blending together at this point. Iowa, Ohio State, very good duel. I thought Ohio State had a good chance at a 5-5 split, maybe an upset in this one. It kind of went the way we thought it was going to go in a lot of these weights, but the fact that Iowa opened things up with a Joey Cruz win over Brendan McCrone, that kind of set the tone for Iowa, where McCrone's the favorite there. Cruz gets the win 6-5, but they do come back. There's no Nick Bouzakis for Ohio State. Ben DeVino got the nod, and he ended up teching Kian Hernandez, got a 19-4 tech. So Ohio State back up 5-3. It's what they needed. And then Mendez gets a tech. So they're up 10-3 after 3 bouts. Then you start getting to the swing bouts. Kyle Parko gets one over Dylan D'Amelio, 8-3. Cutting to the lead, Ja'Cory Teamer beat Sammy Sasso. Good win for Teamer. Sasso, I thought, wrestled relatively well, things considered, but Teamer now looks like he's pretty much healthy. Came back, got that win. And then you get to Mikey Caliendo, Patty Gallagher. Bonus points are coming. Caliendo gets the major. And then this is where I thought the duel could actually go back into Ohio State's favor. I actually initially picked Carson Hartslett to beat Patrick Kennedy at 174. I thought that's about that Ohio State could have gotten, and they ended up getting it. So he won 7-3. And then this is where it really got interesting, because now you're looking at 84, 97, and heavyweight. 97, Buchanan's going to be the favorite, right, over Seth Shoemate. No disrespect to Shoemate. Buchanan's one of the best guys in the country. Gabe Arnold pretty much clinched this duel with that sudden victory over Ryder Rogotsky. 4-1, sudden victory, overtime. Iowa fans are going nuts. That pretty much put the duel in Iowa's favor, because Buchanan got the tech fall at 97, and then Ben Keeter capped it off with a win over Nick Feldman. Big win for Keeter, by the way. That should put him in the top 10 this week, according to Intermat. So Feldman, I think, I believe he needed a pin at that point in order to even up the duel, or it might have actually been out of hand already at that point. If I'm looking at back at the score, it looks like it was 21-13. So duel's already out of hand. But the fact that Gabe Arnold got that win over Ryder Rogotsky in overtime, that kind of basically put the duel on ice. Iowa wins. Great win. Gabe Arnold calls out Carter Starachi and Penn State. He didn't call it Carter Starachi by name. I want to make that clear. Did not say Starachi by name in his post-match presser based on the clippings that I saw, what we wrote up at On3. The quote that he gave was pretty much, they're coming for Penn State. They're going to get it done this year. And, he's coming for the head. Or coming for your head, however he phrased it. Didn't mention Starachi by name, but you can naturally always assume that he's going to call out, and that he did call out Starachi, and that's going to be the drama's building. Haven't really heard anything from Starachi's side, but, Starachi's the best guy in the country. I don't think he really needs to say anything at that point. So, great duel. Iowa wins over Ohio State 24-13. There were some other notable scores. I know UNI Oklahoma State had a wild duel. Oklahoma State won that one. Northern Iowa did beat Oklahoma as well. Wyoming dominated Cal Baptist. That was all on Saturday. Sunday, that's where I wanted to get to. Let's see, scrolling down. Yeah, I mentioned Minnesota before, but again, the Rutgers factor. Minnesota controlled their win over Northwestern 29-12. Gable Steveson still on a tear. Another tech fall for him. Isaiah Salazar got a win. Max McAnally still winning there. Let's see, any other notable results? Let's see. Vance Von Bauer teched Chris Cannon. Now, Cannon, I know he's been dinged. He was dinged up last year in Michigan, came back to Northwestern this year. That was a very eye-popping result. I know Cannon hasn't wrestled much this year, but the fact that Von Bauer teched him 20-4, 141, a little bit of an eye-opening result there. Let's see what else we got on the docket here. Lock Haven or George Mason, 1917 was a good one. Michigan got back on the winning end of things as well, 22-13. They beat Indiana. I know Michigan's down a little bit this year. Indiana's wrestling pretty well this year. So a good win for Michigan. Let's see. Chase Saldate got a win. Bo Mantanona got a win over Tyler Lewis. Good win for him at 65. Joe Walker beating Derek Gilcher at 74. Cardenas, who I mentioned before. Tough win over Gabe Solers, who's a pretty solid guy at 97 for Indiana. It was an 8-4 decision. And how about Josh Heinzelman getting plugged in at heavyweight right there? It seemed like Michigan is just heavyweight U at this point. Heinzelman, a top 10 guy for the Wolverines. He beat Jacob Bullock 2-1. Princeton, a big win over Columbia, 34-3. Missouri edged out West Virginia, which was another back and forth duel. Missouri's all banged up this year. Still no Keegan O'Toole till some point in February. I beg your pardon. It was Oklahoma State, Iowa State was what I was thinking of off the top of my head. I know that was a big duel on Sunday. That was actually on ESPN. That was a nationally televised duel. So That one kind of went back and forth. Spradley over Perryman, Frost beat Whitcraft, Evan Frost did, and then Jacob Frost followed up with a win over Tegan Jameson. Panera Johnson, a big win over Cora Young. Cody Chittum got a win, and then Oklahoma State turned it on in the second half. Cam Amin, Dina Mitty getting wins. Dina Mitty got a tech as well. Dustin Plott, the best guy at 184, not named Carter Srirachi or Parker Keckeisen. He got a major. Luke Serber, the injury default, and Wyatt Hendrickson. He's been on a tear this year since coming over for his grad year with a tech fall. I mentioned already Rutgers over Illinois. One of the other standout matches from that duel was Lucas Bird over Dylan Shawver, 6-5, back and forth right there. They'll definitely see each other again. So Shawver, some tough matches lately for Rutgers, losing to Braden Davis and Bird, but Bird, he's proven why. Despite the injury last year, missing all of last season, still one of the best guys in the country at 133. Scrolling down the list here, and that was pretty much it in terms of the big duels. In terms of the standout scores throughout the Big 10, Big 12, et cetera, et cetera. But I think what everyone wants to see is now what's going to happen this week between Penn State and Iowa. To me, again, you're looking at the biggest duel of the year. I'm not saying anything that's that's not a groundbreaking statement. I would say Penn State and Iowa. You look at what the matchups are. Penn State is definitely the favorite here. There's no mistake about it. They're definitely a favorite to win 7 to 9 bouts. Can Iowa win one? I think they will. The problem is for Iowa, the match that they were, especially, I'm looking at the WrestleStat prediction too. It's 27-3 is the projected final score here. Penn State over Iowa. The only bout that the Hawkeyes win, Drake Ayala, 133. He did not wrestle this past weekend. Tom Brandt said, if he had to pretty much bet on it, that he'll be good to go. And if he is good to go, that surely helps Iowa. But then you're looking at the rest of the lineup. Luke Lildahl against Joey Cruz. Lildahl's the favorite. Braden Davis, Drake Ayala. Okay, Ayala might be the favorite there. How healthy is he? Davis had, a low-scoring match against Dylan Shawver on Friday. Davis has obviously taken his lumps just, a little bit at 133 since moving up a weight class, but he's still a Big Ten champ just from last year. Still a loaded Penn State line. He's still a top 10 guy in the country. So if Davis wins this one, I'm not going to be surprised in the least. So that's the match that I was looking at as, okay, we need to win that one. If we drop the first one, we can get this second one. We could tie things at 3, so to speak, okay, going into 141. But then Bo Bartlett against Jace Rhodes, what do you have at 141? If you're Iowa, you're up against it there. Bartlett can certainly get bonus points there. And then you go to 149. This is where I think Iowa can get back in the duel and make it a little bit more interesting as you approach the second half of the lineups if Kyle Parko takes out Shane Van Ness. Now, they have wrestled before just once. You had a Shane Van Ness win over Parko that you have to go back to March of 2023, though, during Van Ness's run at the NCAA tournament that year. Parko was still at Arizona State. A little bit of a different scenario this time around. 2 years later, Parko wrestling extremely well for the Hawkeyes. Van Ness obviously is just on an absolute tear. We know he lost to Ridge Lovett the other week when they wrestled Nebraska, but other than that, Van Ness has been one of the best guys in the country. So do you favor Van Ness in this one because he won the previous matchup, and then based on the way he's wrestled this year, you probably say, okay, Van Ness is probably the better guy this year. And that's nothing against Kyle Parko, but you just have, the way Penn State is wrestling this year in totality, it's tough to pick against pretty much anybody in this lineup. So you could see Van Ness really control this one. Who knows? Maybe he gets bonus points or it goes bonus points the other way. We've seen crazier things happen in these matches before. So, but this is the match to me where if Iowa's down, let's even give them a little bit of credit defensively to save some bonus points. Let's say they're down 6-3 going into 149. You're going to need a guy like Kyle Parko to come through and tie this duel at 6 apiece with the win over Shane Van Ness. So giving them the benefit of the doubt, let's just say they do that. I'm trying to outline any sort of path for Iowa to make this competitive, make it close in the team score, because then you go to 157, Tyler Kasak, Ja'Cory Teamer, 49 and 57, you absolutely have to have if you're Iowa. You're going to need 33 as well, especially if Drake Ayala is wrestling. If Iowa takes 3 of the first 5 bouts, let's say Teamer wins over Kasak. It's a big ask. I know Teamer's ranked number 1 in the country right now, according to Internet. K-Sac is right on his tail, I should say. But if you do get these matches in these spots where you can win 33, 49, 57, let's just say Iowa's up 9-6 at the break, you're in good shape. But then it gets very, very dicey for the Hawkeyes, okay? I don't personally think they're going to win this duel. I think Penn State is, you can make the argument that I might make the argument later in this week where I make an official prediction or I put it in writing, so to speak. They might win 8 bouts. Trying to outline a path for Iowa here is almost next to impossible. 165, Messenbrink, Caliendo. Messenbrink, and I said this to Justin Bash last week, I can't pick anybody else at 65 to win the NCAA title. Messenbrink has owned Caliendo in their meetings. He's 3-0 against them. You go back to their meetings. They had 3 meetings last year. You had Messenbrink winning 12-6 in the duel. Then he won via tech fall at Big Tens. Then he majored them at NCAAs. Bonus points here. I say bonus points here for Messenbrink at this point. He's on a different planet compared to everybody else at 165. And Caliendo's arguably the second best guy in the country at this weight. So let's just say 9-6 Iowa lead at halftime or intermission. Then you go to Messenbrink, gets a major, and now it's 10-9 Penn State, and now you're up against it. Levi Haynes, Patrick Kennedy. They've never wrestled before. They actually have one common opponent. It's Rutgers Jackson Turley. Haynes beat him 5-2. Kennedy beat him 12-2 in their meetings. But you have to favor Haynes here. Won the NCAA title last year. He's the number 2 guy at this weight this year. Up 2 weights from his national title last year. Kennedy, excellent wrestler, but Haynes right now, with Keegan O'Toole on the shelf until mid to late February, he's the best guy in the country at this weight. Let's just give him a decision here. It's 13-9 Penn State. And now you go into Penn State's other hammers, okay? Your other national champion in Carter Sirachi, 4-time champion, who's going to be a 5-time champion this year when it's all said and done. He takes on Gabe Arnold. It's the match we want to see. It's the one Arnold's been hyping up. I love the enthusiasm from Gabe Arnold, but I just can't see it. I can't see him beating Sirachi. I can't see anybody beating Sirachi this year. So, if you're Iowa, you're laying out this perfect plan on how to win this duel. Once you get to this point, unless you pull off some upsets, once you get to Sirachi, it's pretty much a wrap here for Penn State. Okay, I won't even say that Sirachi will get bonus points, although you could see bonus points from Sirachi over Gabe Arnold, just to give Iowa a little bit of credit. Let's say he doesn't major him. Okay, now it's 16-9. Okay, then you go to Josh Barr, Stephen Buchanan. Maybe this is a match where Buchanan does win. Okay, so if you're going to pick out 2 matches for Iowa to win, without saying, all right, here's the path for Iowa to win, you probably say 33 and you probably say 97, because those are the matches where their guys are ranked higher than Penn State's guys. So you go strictly by rankings, Ayala and Buchanan. Okay, but could I see Josh Barr beating Stephen Buchanan? Absolutely. But I'm thrilled to see this match because this could be a Big Ten final. Okay, without throwing Jacob Cardenas into the mix right there, who I think he was my preseason national title pick. But potentially this is a Buchanan Barr is a Big Ten final. Maybe it's an NCAA semifinal. Maybe it's an NCAA final. Okay, so at that point, let's just say it's 16-9. I think how I mapped it out going into the final 2 weights. Let's say Buchanan wins this, right? Okay, if he wins this one, it's 16-12, and then you go into heavyweight with Greg Kirkfleet and Ben Keeter. Keeter got that huge win over Feldman, but different animal here with Kirkfleet. Keeter would need to major Kirkfleet, and then you go to criteria at minimum, okay? Or he texts him, or he somehow pins him, and they win the duel. So you see the problem here with Iowa and Penn State. This is with things going extremely right for Iowa, and they're still behind the 8 ball when it comes to trying to beat Penn State. That just goes to show you the gap here between the number 1 team in the country, and then you have a giant gap, and then you have the number two team in the country, number 3 team in the country, Iowa and Oklahoma State, and then probably everybody else. That's just the way it goes this year, and that's just how good Penn State is. So it's an early preview for Penn State, Iowa, but that Friday duel going to be a great one to watch. A lot of great individual matchups, but in the end, when it's all said and done, even with this great path I just outlined for Iowa, you're still going to need an upset somewhere. Maybe it's Patrick Kennedy over Levi Haynes, or it's somehow Mikey Caliendo breaking through and beating Mitchell Messenbrink. I personally don't see it. This is the closest I can map it out in my head between Penn State and Iowa, but ultimately I think Penn State's going to take at least 7 or 8 bouts in this duel and kind of run away with it in the end, particularly once you get to Sirachi, Barr, and Kirkfleet, which I'm picking Sirachi and Kirkfleet to win. I'll lean Buchanan right now at 97, but it wouldn't shock me in the least to see Barr win this match and remain undefeated this season. So that's your Penn State-Iowa preview. Kind of threw a lot out there with some recaps and look-aheads to next weekend, but that's the big one to look ahead to next weekend. We'll see how it goes. we'll see how it maps out. I'm eager to see the reaction to if Iowa does win a few individual battles they're not supposed to. It makes that duel a little bit closer. It'll be very interesting for Big Tens and NCAA seeding when it's all said and done when we get to March and the postseason, I should say. So make sure to follow me on Twitter at NickCosco59. Be sure to follow all of our content at on3.com and where we are on social channels. Like and subscribe to this video. Let me know what you think about Penn State-Iowa. Am I giving Iowa a little bit too much credit? Again, Penn State, best team I've seen all year, best team I've seen in quite a long time. Could be the best team ever as far as a dual meet perspective. Maybe they break last year's scoring record NCAAs. Let me know what you think about that. What were your reactions to some of the duels we just saw this weekend? What do you expect this weekend? Anything I missed? You let me know in the comments below. We'll see you on On3 Wrestling next time. I'm Nick Kosko. So long.